I woke up sometimes, and the day, every day, felt like a rerun. Monday, Tuesday, didn't matter. It was all the same muted color. My name's Jack, and I lived in a house, a decent house, on a quiet street in what used to be a quiet town. Used to be. Before all of this, my biggest worry was whether the mail would come on time, or if Jasper, my old orange tabby, would cough up another hairball on the rug. Speaking of Jasper, I remember stroking his fur one evening, just a few days after that meteor, or whatever it was, fell. It hit out in Miller's Field, just a few miles beyond the old feed mill. Nothing much, a local news blip, a small crater, some singed grass. But an odd detail stuck with me. When I ran my hand over Jasper's soft, familiar fur that night, it felt, well, a little tacky, sticky, like he'd gotten into something gooey. I just squinted, pulled my hand away, and figured I hadn't cleaned the house properly. Or maybe he'd found some spilled syrup I'd forgotten about. Just a minor thing. I didn't think much of it. That night, I was sitting on the couch, half watching the evening news. Some report about rising gas prices, same old stuff. I noticed a tiny crack on the TV screen. It hadn't been there before. Probably just age, I thought. My TV wasn't new. Then the picture on the screen sort of rippled, like water. And I heard it. A low, soft hiss, a frequency so deep it felt more in my bones than my ears. It lasted less than a blink. I blinked, and the picture was steady again. The crack was still there. What's wrong with me today? I muttered to myself. Probably just tired, I figured. I usually was. I got up, walked to the kitchen, and poured myself a glass of water, a habit. I placed the glass on the kitchen counter exactly 2 centimeters from the edge, a force of habit I didn't even notice I had until just then. I turned to grab my phone from the charging cradle. A quick check of emails, maybe a game of solitaire. When I turned back, the glass was still there, but it had shifted. Not much, maybe 3 centimeters to the left. Just a tiny amount. My eyebrows knitted together. I knew exactly where I'd put it. I wasn't that absent-minded. At least, I wasn't. I must have made a mistake, I said out loud. The sound of my own voice startled me. It echoed a little in the too-quiet kitchen. I reached for the glass to move it back. And then I felt it. The glass, which had been sitting out at room temperature, was warm. Not just warm, but hot, like it had just come out of a dishwasher. I recoiled, dropping it. It wasn't a hard fall onto the linoleum, but the glass shattered anyway. The sound that followed wasn't a typical crash. It was a sequence of soft, clear chimes. Each shard, as it settled, seemed to hum, like tiny, broken bells played by an invisible hand. It was rhythmic, almost, and buried within those chimes, a whisper. So quiet, so fragile, yet I heard it. My name. Jack. Just that. My name. Panic. Not the screaming, running kind, more like a cold, heavy stone dropping in my gut. My heart began to pound, a deep, uneven thudding. What the hell was that? I dove into the pantry, scrambling through the shelves, looking for empty boxes, cardboard boxes, plastic bins, anything. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped a stack of flattened moving boxes. And then it happened. I reached for a large carton meant for storing old books. As my fingers closed around it, the box, it wasn't there. I felt the shape of it, the coarse cardboard, the slight give of the flaps. My hand was clenched, fingers curved around something that absolutely felt real, yet my eyes saw only empty air in the dim light of the pantry. The weight, the texture, all of it just dissolved. My breath hitched. For a second, just a few heartbeats, I stood there, utterly still, holding nothing. Then, with a soft thump that no one else would have heard, the box reappeared. Not where it was before, but on the shelf above, already unfolded. I stared at my hand. My mind was reeling. This wasn't exhaustion. This wasn't some trick of the light. This was something else. And the thought, unbidden, came to me. I made it disappear. The realization hit me like a physical blow. Not a thought, more like a pure instinctual understanding. And the return, I didn't will it back. It just came back. But it felt different. It felt like I could put things somewhere else. Somewhere that wasn't here. Somewhere that wasn't.